Welcome everyone to the weSPARK live stream events, and I'm glad you're joining us this afternoon. My name's Ed Sullivan. I used to say honest, but I've outgrown my name. Half the people don't know it anymore. But I've worked at once a week at weSPARK here for 15 years, and I do Infinity Energy Qigong. And what is that? So basically, Qigong are energy exercises using the breath with intention. The easiest thing I can explain that is, there's Chinese medicine explanations and all that medical. I call it sponge Qigong. We pour good water in us and we can sponge out the toxins. It's that easy, and it's just like breath. We inhale good, clean air, hopefully, and exhale the toxins, okay? So it's that simple. We have an intention, we send it out. But one of the things we like to recycle on this planet, we like to recycle for the planet, say cans, bottles, glasses. What we really want to think about is that your body is a planet. And are you consuming it or are you conserving? Are you treating your body like a race or is it a marathon? And so what Qigong is, and what Tai Chi and meditation and a lot of other healing modalities, they are teaching us to conserve, to recycle, to build up our immune system and to help us heal. So basically, I'm just one of many other modalities here that are basically trying to help you recover, live longer, prosper, all that's good stuff. But what am I going to talk about today? My topic is fear. It's a big topic. We have to start with fear. If you're really in fear, if you're immobilized and terrified and can't even move, that's medical, and you need to seek help, call friends. You really need to deal with that. But what I'm more talking about today is fear that you have to deal with going through recovery, a disease, the fear that just grips you and that you carry with you like a weight your whole journey. So I'm hoping, my intention today is to give you some tools to let go of that fear and maybe change your mind about fear. Fear is positive and negative. Most people don't realize that. Let me give you an example. Let's pretend we have another lifetime and you and I were hunting dinosaurs in another lifetime. And you scratched your arm and it started bleeding. Well, your body would be terrified, and you'd run back to the cave and you'd save your life. Fear was your friend. So fear has to be seen as doing its job. Fear does a job. I have my own personal definition of fear. It's real weird, but bear with me. I'll repeat it. Ed's definition of fear is an attention deficit energy manager. Now, I'll repeat that and explain it. Some part of our body has to check our body every 5 minutes. And it goes, and if everything's okay, no response. But if something's wrong, body wants to remind us, oh my God, do you realize you have an illness, or you are weak, you're sick? And that's helpful unless you're going through something, ongoing, chronic, then it becomes a pain every 5 minutes, and it could be gripping. So one of the best things to deal with is, I'm fine and I'm getting better every day. You tell fear, I'm fine, I'm getting better every day, and then you exhale it out of your body. If it stays, it can be a 3-day waste of time. If you grab onto fear, it'll take you to places you don't want to go. So here's what you do. Fear comes up, you say, oh, thanks for doing your job, but you have to leave. I'm fine, I'm getting better every day, and here is one of the best Qigongs. It's going to sound so simple, you aren't even going to believe it works, but I'm going to tell you it works. Inhale courage, exhale fear. Inhale courage, exhale fear. The strength of Qigong is it's so simple, anybody can do it. The weakness in Qigong, it's so simple, people think nothing happens. It is so powerful. once I went to a weSPARK event here, and it was one of their entertainment fundraisers. And a guest that I had worked on before comes running up, and she says, "Oh, Ed, thank you so much. Thank you. You wouldn't believe how much you helped me. You helped me through 2 surgeries, 2 reconstructions, a hysterectomy, and all the other treatments that I've had." And I said, and I didn't recognize her. Now, that's not unusual because some people come in different forms of health and hair and all kinds of things. So I thought, well, how many times did I see you? And she said, "Once." Once? I'm really like, once? Now I'm intrigued. What did I tell her that helped her through all of those surgeries? She said, inhale courage, exhale fear. It got me through everything. And I realized that to a person that does, that's what I call verbal medicine. There's herbal medicine. If you give medicine to someone who doesn't need medicine, it doesn't mean anything. So if you're hearing this and you think, those are just words, that's because you don't need that medicine. But you tell medicine to the right person, and it's water to a dry sponge. And that one word just gives them courage to go through amazing things. So even though, if that's your simplest thing that you just take away from today, let's say you have a doctor's appointment coming up, you have anything, a job interview, it doesn't have to be, you just inhale courage and exhale fear. Because in that case, fear's doing its job. Here's another thing, don't take fear personal. Some people will come in and say, "Oh, I'm afraid all the time. What's wrong with me? I'm afraid." I said, no, you're not afraid all the time. Your body's just reminding you you're not 100%. So stop taking it personal. That's it. Fear, thanks for doing your job. I'm fine. I'm getting better every day. But you have to leave. And you have to understand this. Why does fear have to leave? In Chinese medicine, which is part of what I do, Infinity energy healing is kind of energy work with Chinese medical principles. It's sometimes called acupuncture without needles. And so you have to understand that an emotion can become a pathogen. That's a whole other lecture. But anyway, an emotion can become a pathogen. And so we really have to pay attention to if it stays too long or if it's too powerful. It can be a dis-ease. Watch out for that. I think there's some profound words, and one of them is dis-ease. A disease is a dis-ease, and fear can become, so here you're getting well, and another dis-ease comes up called fear. Get it out. It just thank you, fear, and just get it out of your body. And then you can move on. Now, part of that is, another way you can help fear is, you've got to watch out when you have a dis-ease, is you may try to tough it out, or you may cry all the time. Okay, toughing it out is dangerous because it builds up a pressure and it can become a dis-ease. Crying all the time can become a dis-ease. The only way to go through this journey, this frightening journey, is what I call cry and fly. You cry one day, have a pity party for one. You know who you are. Most of us don't give up, but we're so afraid that crying is weakness. Crying is taking the steam out of something that's building. It's building. This is not a fun journey. This is horrible journey, in many ways. And so what happens is you've got to realize 2 people are healing. Your adult and your little boy or little girl. And so the adult will want to, let's tough this out. Let's get strong. We can get through this. And the child inside you is really devastated. This isn't how you plan this year or 2. This is horrible. It's painful. It's a waste of time, energy, money. And that little child has to have its feelings. So like I said, if you're crying all the time, you need help. If you're toughing it out, you need some help. But in the middle, you're doing great. You cry one day, you give up for an hour, get that, it's like releasing steam. It's like, it's just like, oh, and then now you take the step forward, let your adult take over. So it's a nice combination. You get to know each other. Yeah, 2 people have to heal this, not one. And I'm going to tell you something. Now, there's different kinds of fears. Some people have fear of chemo, radiation, or the medicines. You really got to watch that. I'm going to tell you a joke. You probably heard the joke, but it has a twist at the end. So bear with me if you heard the joke. This lady is on a big ocean liner, and she falls off into the ocean. Well, the boat's too big to go back for her, so they send a small boat to save her. The boat gets there and says, "Hey lady, we're here to save you." And she says, "Oh, I don't need your help. God's going to save me." And a submarine surfaces and says, "Oh, I don't need your help. God's going to save me." And a helicopter drops a basket. Says, "Oh, I don't need your help. God's going to save me." Well, she dies. She goes to heaven. She says, "God, where were you?" "Well, I sent you a boat, a submarine, a helicopter, chemo, radiation, surgery." I hope you're getting the point. We want to laugh at the lady because she's got a picture of how Spirit is trying to save her. That chemo and that radiation or that surgery or whatever you're worried about could be that helicopter. Don't have a picture of how it's going to save you. We have seen so many people here with all kinds of medicines save them, and we don't have a picture. Just really. And I say, that's another thing that juxtapositions into fear. Don't be afraid of your medicine, your doctor, or your surgery. Now, you can doubt. I want you to doubt, get second opinions, third opinions, go on the internet. You can doubt and doubt and doubt until you pick your modality. You pick your treatment. Once you pick your treatment, empower your doctor. Empower your doctor. Because he's your medicine, he's your ticket, or she's your ticket out into health. Okay? So I'll give you a story. I had to have a surgery about 4 years ago. We're trying to decide doctors and all that. And finally I picked my doctor, and I did my research. I went on the internet. And you know, that's another thing the Chinese know about fear. Information can lower fear. Too much information can bring it back. So there's right in the middle. Information can lower fear. Okay. So I did my information. I got what I needed to know, and I was about to pick my doctor. My wife said, "You know, you can watch your surgery on the internet." With TMI. Too much information. Too much information. I mean, she said, "Well, I want to watch the operation." I said, "You're not me. I have just enough information to," I said, and another story about picking my doctor. We had a warm, fuzzy doctor who was really nice, and we had this like doctor that every hair was on his head in perfect place, and he was kind of mechanical and thought he was God. And nothing on his desk and everything. My wife said, "Well, you're going to go with the nice doctor." I said, "No, I'm going with the doctor with the clean room, the clean hair, and who thinks he's God. Because I want someone who's detailed for my surgery." So I didn't care about his bedside manner. I wanted efficiency and everything. So I'll go up to the doctor. I pick my doctor. She's disappointed. I pick this guy. I reach my hand out and I say, "Doc, I'm believing you. I'm counting on you. You'd have thought I told my dad I loved him for the first time. He stumbled and okay. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever told a doctor, or this guy, that someone's believing in him and is counting on him. I didn't want to be number 6 on Wednesday. I wanted this personal. So when it came in, and I go, "Oh, this is the guy that believes in me." Do you know he was there every day? He was saying, "How are you doing, Ed?" He was taking care of me, calling the nurses, "Did you do this? Did you do that?" I thought, I'm the only one probably this entire year that believes in him and is counting on him. Give your doctor a little love. I mean, make it personal. Once you've chosen your medicine, I've had people come here who approach it like, "Well, I've picked my surgery, but I'm so afraid it's going to kill me." So they're going towards something that they want them to be healed, and they're going, "But I think it's going to kill me." And I go, "Oh, we gotta let this go. You can fight medicine. You can create a bad result. You really want to." And here's another thing that can take fear away. It's called the Golden Light Meditation. And so I'm going to do it for you. Now I know all of you have something coming up you're not looking forward to. It could be a doctor's appointment, a meeting with that difficult relative. I don't care what it is. A business meeting, an interview, job interview. Here's what I do, and it really works. So if you'll just be with me for a minute, close your eyes and just listen. And I want you to just breathe and come inward. That's it. Just let go of the day and everything. And just come inward with your consciousness. Let it go. And down from the sky comes a river of beautiful, soft, delicate golden light. It's so subtle it can't be seen or heard. And it just fills you head to toes and head to fingers. It's just so beautiful. It's so sweet in energy. It's so self-accepting, so loving. And just fill it up with all your tissues, your bones, organs. Oh, it feels so good. And I want you to know that you have an unlimited supply of this golden light. So if you use some, it's instantly replaced. So let it shoot out your heart and fill up this room, if it's a doctor's appointment or a surgery or whatever, fill up the rooms. If there's a receptionist, a nurse, an assistant, technicians, pharmacists, everything to do with your case. Phone calls, phone lines, fax machines, insurance companies, anything and everything is now surrounded with golden light. Let it send ahead. It knows what rooms you're going to be in, even if you don't yet. It's going to be filling up the room, preparing the way. And just let it fill up, just everything filling up with this golden light. And place a tiny little angel on every person that has anything to do with your case. And that tiny angel just reaches their ear. And it says, hey, get this right. This is a friend of ours. Hey, double check. That's it. Get this right. She or he's a friend of ours. And feel that guidance through this whole process. The golden light. And every night before you go to bed, send the golden light ahead. And any time through the day you suddenly remember it, fill yourself with golden light and send it ahead. I've experienced this many times, and boy, does it help the day go by. When you get there, it still might be a little frightening, but you feel supported. You have sent ahead support. You have sent ahead support. Good. And if you haven't fallen asleep, you can open your eyes again and come back, or you can stay asleep. And okay, so the other thing is fear. Watch out for fear. It can make you implode. I have a theory, this is an Ed definition. Cancer is, to me, very simplistic. It's some part of the body decides not to work with the rest of the body for the first time. It overproduces cells. Now, prior to that, it worked with the body. So let's look at the body as a family. Prior to cancer, the body was working as a family. Somehow, cancer isolates, goes off, does its own thing. It's just working on its own thing. Watch out that you don't feed isolation. That's why cancer support centers are so important, because they help you bring, you're not alone, they help you bring back into a family externally, and that sometimes works on the inner family. And the cancer starts to work with the body again. Okay, there's a tendency, especially with men, this is just my experience. Men get cancer, I think maybe it's, they're masculine, I don't know what it is, they can implode, and it doesn't bode well for how long they live. I've just known too many men that just go away, they want to hide with it, and you got to call them up, you got to get them out to lunch, you got to get them back into the life force. So there's a wonderful story. An Indian chieftain, American Indian chieftain, was asked what he thought some of the differences between American Indians and white men were. And he said an interesting thing. He said, you know, one of the most interesting things is that that white men take their problems indoors. Problems get bigger. Indians, we take our problems outdoors. Problems get smaller. So pay attention to that. Nature is a medicine. You stay indoors with your problems, you get into fear, the walls get closer. You actually get psychologically nearsighted. When you get outside and you can see the horizon, life changes. It's like, there was a wonderful book I'd heard of. A Detroit doctor was going to marry a Canadian Indian from the reservation. He met her, and she lived on an Indian reservation in Canada. So he said, well, once we get married, you can move to Detroit. And she said, oh no, I think that would kill me. I think my life force. She says, why don't you come and live on the Indian reservation? He said, well, so he was a kind of a new age doctor and said, I'll tell you what, I'll give it a year. I'll be honest. I'll give it a year. I'll come up to the Indian reservation, put my practice on hold, and let's see. So he goes up to the Indian reservation, and he's a doctor, so who's he going to hang out with? The medicine man, the shaman. So he's hanging out with him, and a man comes in from one of the big cities. The Indian male was working one of the big cities, come back, and he said, you got to help me. He said, I've tried all the Western medicines, the antidepressants. I can't hold a job. I'm overwhelmed and stressed. What do I do? And the medicine man writes out a prescription and shows it to the Detroit doctor. The Detroit doctor looks at it, is confused. He hands it to the man. Man leaves. He says, what kind of prescription is that? And he says, well, I told him that he has to sit outside under the stars for 2 hours a night without any radio or stimulus or book, just under the stars. And the Detroit doctor says, what kind of medicine is that? And he says, good medicine. And I think that's the name of the book, Good Medicine. And he says, so the man comes back 3 weeks, not even a month, 3 weeks, and he says, oh my God, thanks, I got a job, I'm holding it, thank you. I am just great, I don't even need my meds. And he says, thank you so much, and he leaves. And the Detroit doctor said, how does that work? And he says, it's hard to hold your problems, your tiny problems, in the face of eternity. The horizon, the outdoors pulls us, and we see a bigger picture, and we get perspective. So watch out for imploding, becoming that couch potato. I don't blame you, because the first impression is you're sick and you're depressed, you want to pull in. Fight it. I had a client who lost his wife. He was 91 years old. And Kaiser called him every other day or for 2 weeks saying, are you networking, Larry? Are you networking? And he said, God, they keep calling me networking. And finally he asked him, why are you calling me every other day? He said, Larry, when someone close to us dies, sometimes we implode. And a person will then isolate, and it doesn't bode well for their health. And so we want to make sure you're getting out. So I always say, don't listen to people. Call them up, get them out, take them to lunch. They say, oh, I don't want to. You tell them, yes, you do. Get them outside. There's a life force outside. And when you get people back in life, it wakes up their life. Another thing that can take fear away is, I call it dare to dream. Make plans pretty far out. You know, I mean, we've got, on computers, you all got a computer because you're watching. So your calendar, go 5 years and say, I'm going to be in Australia, and then in 8 years I'm going to have that vacation in Tahiti, and if you're single, well, I'm going to have a really hot date or whatever. And you just keep going, and you make these, and you go out 20 or 30 years, and it gets silly, because, you know, and when you're breaking that age ceiling, you're breaking that disease ceiling, and you're tickling your, it's almost like software. It's almost like, and here's the way I explain it, it's silly, is wake up, buddy, he's changing the software, reverse engines, he wants to live. It's that powerful. Living is software. And so if you're focusing on the wound all the time, the body's saying, well, I guess we're wounded, just slow down. Okay, no, change the software. Make it silly. Make plans 20, 30 years. If you have a daughter who you know is going to have a baby, she's going to give. Then you think, well, she'll be in 8th grade. I'll be there, and you put a memory in that. I got to have an 8th grade gift for my granddaughter, and then you go when she graduates from college, and you go ahead, it goes on, and then when she has a baby, it goes on and on. Make it silly. Make it silly, okay? So here's the last thing I want to do. Sometimes being alone. Cancer's an alone journey. So I want you to just close your eyes. We're going to end here. I want you to see the sun is 93 million miles away. It keeps the temperature on Earth in a 200-degree range so that you don't freeze or fry. Hasn't made a mistake in millions of years. If you ever tried to barbecue something 6 inches from the flame, oh my God. Imagine 93 million miles away. The ancient Chinese say the sun knows your name. It's not just warming the planet in general. It's a ball of love. And aren't you a little suspicious the moon circles the earth 28 days, regulating every woman's cycle to her journey? She affects all the liquids on the planet, including the tides. And she inspires us to great thinking and romance. She's not a reflective ball of dust. She's a ball of love. And the Chinese, ancient Chinese, say she knows your name. She tucks you in every night. And the earth, haven't you been a little suspicious that the earth holds you just tight enough so you don't fly off into space, and just tight enough so that you're not stuck like a tree and can't move the rest of your life? Do you know how hard that is? The planet is huge. It holds you just tight enough. When this program's over, imagine if the earth made a mistake and you just float to the ceiling. Or what if it made the mistake in the other direction and you were a pancake on the floor the rest of your life? You know, it's not gravity. It's not gravity. It's a hug. And the ancient Chinese say that the earth knows your name. You've been given this gift of life. And it's hard to imagine that you're alone. So I want you to think that the sun is one of the greatest male energies in our universe. And the moon, one of the greatest female energies. And the planets and stars are brothers and sisters. So when you feel alone, get outside and open up to the big family. You can love your temporal family as much as they deserve. But you're a part of a bigger family. And if you get outside more often, you talk to it, you're going to be quite surprised. It's going to talk back. And then your world changes. So, in kind of wrapping up with fear, I hope my goal was one of these might work for you, or two. One of them, the best is just don't let it stick around too long. Thank it and let it move on. So just remember to inhale courage and exhale fear. Thank you, fear, for doing your job. Inhale courage and exhale fear. And, just as a summary, take your problems and your fear outside. Nature is a medicine. The blue sky calms your kidneys. The green grass and trees calms your liver. The earth calms your stomach, spleen. The air and the clouds calms your lungs. And the sun calms your heart. The Chinese know that this isn't just talk. This is a medicine. Natural medicine is natural medicine. It's nature. And you know that when you take a vacation, where do you usually go? Mountains, rivers, lakes, parks, streams. That's where you go. And I can prove it. If you ever had a vacation in Vegas, you come back needing a vacation. It just takes. So just know that if you really need a friend and you need a medicine, get outside. I have a friend who's a therapist. There's ecotherapy now. You can go to a therapist that gives you homework about being outside because they know that nature is a medicine. So I hope something has taken. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you. And I wish you the best with your strategy toward fear.